Did you miss me? I missed me too. So let's get right into it.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Ho.
Hey guys, so I'm back again with another video. I'm back with more content. And so in this video today, we're going to be talking about ways to learn a language. As you know, I'm a polyglot. I speak 5 languages, learning and improving every day. But here are some tips and tricks, as promised, that I've used over the years to help me get to where I am today with my language speaking. And of course, there's so many different ways and everyone learns differently. These are just my top 5 and ways that I feel have been most productive and most useful for me. Feel free to take and choose as you please. And if this video is helpful to you, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share, drop in the comments, engage. If you have other suggestions, I'd love to hear from you. No gatekeeping over here. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so my first tip for learning a language is gonna be by speaking it. That's right, yes, speaking a language. Now you might say, well, how do I learn a language if I don't speak the language? Aha. So babies, when they learn a language, obviously they can't quite speak just yet. But how do they learn? They learn through imitation. They learn by absorbing, right? Absorption and reproducing, imitating. So the best way really is just to repeat. Repetition is key. Depending, of course, like where you are in your stage of learning and your level, what's going to be most useful is to regurgitate everything that you're consuming. So don't be afraid to formulate sentences, even if it's wrong. The repetition will help you get to a comfortable level eventually. The most important thing is that you're able to structure and get to formulating things on your own. I have students that always, say, well, my problem isn't understanding. I can understand virtually everything, but I really have trouble speaking. And I think one of the reasons that occurs is because language learners don't give themselves an opportunity to speak freely, to speak and express themselves uninterrupted, right? They're always kind of worried about, well, oh, this isn't perfect, or this is wrong, or, I don't want to sound stupid. But the best way to learn is by doing. If you don't do, and if you inhibit yourself and you shy away from doing the very thing that you're trying to learn how to do because of fear, it's not going to get you anywhere. And it only ends up putting a greater burden on your learning journey. So my suggestion is just to go for it, even if it's wrong, even if it sounds silly, it sounds crazy, just try. For learners that are in the beginning stages, try to engage by speaking to yourself, right? If you don't have someone with whom you can practice, speaking to yourself, thinking in that language, making voice notes, sending voice notes, practice speaking instead of just, texting. Just speak as much as you can. Even in conversations or where you might, hear a language spoken, silently participate. Ask yourself, well, how would I respond if the person was talking to me? What would I say? Try to, create thoughts. We have so many thoughts that run through our head in the course of a day. It's proven to be 40,000 or 50,000 thoughts that cross our mind. Try to convert your thoughts or just initiate those thoughts in the intended language. And this might even fall in a category of how to improve your language learning, and rather than how to learn from scratch, but it's all useful. And I think that, wherever you are in your journey, just trying to initiate and trying to produce the language, the intended language that you're trying to learn, is always going to be helpful no matter what. The more you speak in your intended language, it will force you to learn how to structure and formulate the ideas that you have in the language that you're trying to learn. Because oftentimes structure and word order is going to be different, but the more you can allow yourself to think in that intended language, the more congruent your thoughts and therefore your speech and fluency will become. You learn by doing, so the more you do, the better you're going to become at it. Tip number 2, travel. If you have the means, by all means, okay, go ahead and hop on that flight, book that ticket, go where you need to go, okay? This is probably gonna be one of the best and top suggestions that I could put out there to language learners. travel, 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 right? Submerge yourself in the culture, go places, ask questions, be curious. This can be a very active way to participate in language learning, but it also can be passive. So be careful. If you are actually intending to learn the language with which you have interest, actually be active and participate. Don't go there and speak your native language. Try, if you can, to learn a few phrases, a few useful phrases that would be everyday, a part of everyday conversation, or asking questions or asking for help, or simple few words here and there will go a long way. And natives will appreciate that. They will engage you and be more inclined to help you. And I've experienced this firsthand. But when you go somewhere and you're able to communicate in a sense in their language, folks end up being a lot more receptive. And so even if it's not a lot, even if it's just a little bit, at least the effort is there. You will learn over time. It's going to be one of the best ways really to learn a language is to go to that place that you are seeking the knowledge and submerge yourself in the culture, get lost in it, and adapt. And you will learn. You will 1,000%. You will maybe even shock yourself with how much you learn and how much you pick up just by absorbing everything around you and submitting to the culture. Don't just succumb to the pressures of Google Translate. While Google Translate is a way to facilitate and expedite communicating with locals or communicating with others, it's not a language learning tool, right? So it's not going to actually help you progress in the language. It's just a shortcut. And more oftentimes than not, it's not the most accurate shortcut. So this is why I don't promote Google Translate. Technology is great, but if you really want to learn, there's no cutting corners. You have to just submit and submerge yourself amongst the place, around the people, and around the influences of where that language is spoken. And you will thank yourself later. Language learning tip number 3 is hire a language tutor. Hire a teacher. That is a perfect way to get one-on-one help and a way to ask questions and not feel pressures of a traditional classroom. Some might feel intimidated by having others around and don't want to participate as much. So hire someone one-on-one. Nowadays, there are a plethora of even online platforms and apps in which you can communicate and search for someone that suits your needs in terms of language learning. I do also teach online. I offer language classes where I teach Spanish and English on the italki platform. I will link my information down below. If you're interested in taking a class with your girl, let me know. Or if you aren't, but you know somebody that might be, holla at your girl. I'll link all the information down below. Having a one-on-one language tutor is actually a great way to just get undivided attention from an individual that cares about your language learning journey, can answer your questions on demand, however much time you choose to have the class for, whether it's a 45-minute class or 2-hour class, but it's the perfect opportunity to get their undivided attention one-on-one. It's a really great way if you're someone that needs hands-on learning or just a different type of interactive learning. Strongly recommend a language learning tutor. I remember one time during my undergrad, I needed to catch up. I needed to take a couple of extra classes in French to fulfill my major, and so I think I found the school website, I think, either had listed some local community teachers that were available, or maybe we even found the information posted on bulletin boards in the grocery store and a local laundromat. But it's a little old school, but those options might not be exhausted just yet. So I encourage you to step outside, smell the fresh air, take a walk to your local grocery store or laundromat. You might just find somebody's information on a little bulletin board. Usually have to cut up the little numbers and put their name and their service. You might be surprised to find that people still do that. So, and when all else fails, a good old Google search can always help too. So yeah. And if not the private language tutor, sign up for a class. There are so many ways to learn virtually now. Since the pandemic, and things have changed. And so if you're not able to do a class in person, there are classes online that offer language learning opportunities. Also, check out your local library. That's a great resource for community initiatives, and you might be pleasantly surprised to find out that they have language learning groups or classes that you can sign up for that meet once or twice a week. And that's also a really great way to pick up a second language or a third language or a fourth. And it's usually free to my experience. But if it isn't, maybe it's like a small fee. So double check your local library. Okay. Next up is language learning tip number 4. Okay, so this is for my audiovisual learners. Where y'all at? Yeah. This for you. So this was something that I feel like helped me tremendously. And once again, this may be dipping into the category of how to improve your language learning as opposed to just learning a language, but I think it's viable for both categories. So we're gonna mention it, okay? We're still gonna talk about it. But yeah, so I would say watching movies and turn those subtitles on. But when you turn them on, don't put them in your native language. Put them in the intended language. This helps immensely with just being able to identify and comprehend how to think in the language, how to perceive what's going on without necessarily a direct translation, because sometimes directly translating can actually throw you off, because more oftentimes than not, language isn't literally translated and it's not literally understood. It's not like a word for word thing. Sometimes there is no direct translation. So the best way to understand something is to perceive the idea, the intended idea, and the overall message, as opposed to something word for word. So this is why I suggest turning on the subtitles in the intended language, in the language that you're learning. And perhaps at the beginning, you might need to have the subtitles on in your native language. That's okay. But don't let that become a crutch. The sooner you're able to wean yourself off of directly translating and leaning on your native language directly from the intended language that you're learning, switch over immediately, right away, as soon as you can. The quicker you can do that, the better. This was actually one of my favorite pastimes during the pandemic. When I was trying to brush up on my French, I would just throw on, a French film and turn on the subtitles and just consume. And if it was a word that I didn't know or that I thought I knew but I wasn't 100% sure, I would just jot it down and keep watching. I tried at the beginning not to go crazy and list everything, but there was so much. The more I watched, the more I realized I didn't know as much, or there were some things that I've forgotten. So I was trying to learn it all or relearn it all. But I would also say, don't overwhelm yourself. Don't go too overboard. Just maybe, watch the show, and if there are a few words that you can catch here and there, jot it down. I would say don't focus too much on the words that you don't know, but more so the words that you can either figure out via context clues or just based on what's happening. Pay attention to those words and try to incorporate them into your vocabulary, into your conversations. It will become easier to do because they'll be more recognizable that way. And as time goes on, you can start to pick up on words that you've never heard before or never seen before. But I would say to stick with the words that seem familiar or that you feel you could incorporate easily into your conversations because they're easier to pick up. Now, disclaimer. If the intended language is a whole different Semitic, different alphabet, then I would suggest turning on the subtitles in your native language. I would first suggest that you probably get to know the language a little bit more, aka learn that alphabet, because we gotta put some puzzles together first. So I would definitely say learn the alphabet. Yeah, that's all I got. Yeah. I don't have anything else, but it might be a little bit of a challenge, but we love ambition over here, okay? We love ambition. But I would say that it's probably easier to do this with a language that has a Roman or Latin-based alphabet. You can at least recognize the words to some extent. we got to make it make sense. So this suggestion might be a little bit different, not impossible, but different if you're learning a language, via an audio method as opposed to audio visually, because you can't quite make the connection between what you're seeing and what you're reading because you don't know the alphabet. That complicates things, but it can still be done. It just might make your process a bit more arduous and a bit more laborious. So that is why learning the alphabet of your target language first is highly suggested if you're using this method. Just keep that in mind. Sometimes, and I still do this to an extent, like sometimes I'll have a show that I'm watching just like in English, and I'll purposely put the subtitles in Spanish or in French just as a way to like increase vocabulary a little bit too. But also sometimes I can't understand what they're saying in English. Like, English is my first language, but sometimes I have a hard time understanding what's being said in English. And so I'll turn on the subtitles in another language, and if I don't hear it, I'm gonna read it, and then I'm gonna get it. So yeah, it's a very weird dynamic, but you could do that too. Yeah, that helps. It's time for learning tip number 5, guys. If you made it this far, congratulations. I appreciate you. Thank you. I salute you. And without further ado, bars. We're going to get right into it. Okay, so suggestion number 5 is simply to surround yourself with the language. And this is 100% free, right? In the comfort of your own city, of your own home, in the comfort of wherever you reside, wherever you lay, wherever you stay. Surround yourself with the intended language. Nowadays, there's so much available at our fingertips in this day and age, in this world of technology. There are language learning apps, there are, TV shows, settings that you can apply to certain platforms. You have films, radio. Tune into a radio station and find a station that has a language that you're trying to learn, or even a podcast. A good little search on the podcast app or on Google, on YouTube. Bring it with you on the go. Take your settings on your appliances. You can set that to the intended language. I know that there are roughly about maybe 20 plus languages now. So whatever language you're trying to learn, more than likely it's available. Now, be careful with this, because if you don't know anything, I probably would say to hold off on setting the phone, because like your phone is kind of like, you need that. And like, if you can't operate your mobile device because you don't understand it, that's probably not the best thing. Again, that would probably go in the category of how to improve your language learning. But how to learn, we're going to stick with the basics. So we're going to dial back on that one, but we're going to keep it in the back. We're going to take that idea and we're going to put it to the back. Let's continue. So as I was saying, just surrounding yourself as much as you can with the intended language that you're trying to learn. So social media, influencers, or people, whomever that, have the language that you're trying to learn. See how they interact, how they engage online. Their comments is a great way to learn different colloquialisms and phrases, and just see how the generation, how different cultures interact can be very telling about, just the language and the history behind it all. So definitely highly recommend. At the end of the day, language learning should be fun. It should be something that you enjoy. It shouldn't feel like a task. It shouldn't feel hard. And the moment that it doesn't feel that way, then it's time to do some evaluations. But yeah, make it fun. Whatever you choose to do, however you choose to learn, make sure you're having a good time doing it. And when you are intentional and when you are consistent, you learn so much more and so much faster, and it sticks. The knowledge actually sticks. It's not just like, you're studying for a test and you're trying to cram everything. No, it's something that when you learn with intention, the knowledge sticks around for so much longer. So don't cheat yourself. Don't cheat the process. There's no skipping, cutting corners. Just submerge yourself and you will thank yourself later. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got for y'all. Thanks for listening. If y'all enjoyed this and took some value, let a girl know in the comments. And if you have more tips or, a tip that I left out or forgot, let me know too. And I would love to hear how some of these may have helped you. Let me know what you're going to try out, something that you're thinking about. Thanks for tuning in. It's been real. I'll see y'all in the next video. In the meantime, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff. Peace.